Can I start a business with $10,000? Well, yes. Would I? No. A lot of people want to know what it's like to run a business, and a lot of people want to know what it takes for them to start a business like what we do. Now, I want to preface this video. This is in the case of a brick and mortar, self-funded, not going into debt, where this is your only job. You don't have a secondary job, it's just you. So a lot of people will come to me and say, I have $10,000, I really want to open a store, is that enough? And I hate to be the person to sort of break it to a lot of people, and I don't ever want to be someone that maybe stifles somebody's dreams. You can do it, but would I do it? Probably not. With a brick and mortar store like what we do, which is higher end, low production, heritage brands, they don't make enough product that we can constantly order things if they sell out. So we have to look at things in 6-month windows of how much we can fill and how much we can sell during that period of time. And having $10,000 isn't enough fuel for your business to survive those 6 months. When a lot of people come to me with $10,000 or say that they have $10,000, I run them through a pretty quick and easy sort of example of what to expect. Ignoring most bills, but let's imagine that you find a space that is $2,000 a month. It's ready to go, it has everything you could possibly need. For $2,000 a month, you're gonna have to put your first and your last month down, plus your damage deposit. So suddenly your $10,000 is now only $5,000. And from that $5,000, because this is your only job, you have to sustain all of everything. And this is assuming that your $10,000 doesn't leave you a lot of extra room to have savings to be able to pay your rent, to pay your car bills, to pay your food, stuff like that. If you only have $10,000 and that's the max amount of money that you can put into everything, don't think about opening a business. Because again, going back to that 6-month period, you only have $5,000 now to put into product. And the reality is that you're probably not going to walk into a retail setting and be the savant that for the first time ever buys product and has 100% sell-through. Is it possible? Again, yes, anything is possible, but is it likely? It's very unlikely that you'll have 100% sell-through. But for this example, let's imagine that you are that guy. You're so good at what you do that you can take your $5,000 worth of product and you have 100% sell-through. What happens when you sell through all that product and you've only hypothetically made, for this example, we'll use the baseline of a 2-point markup, ignoring, again, all shipping, ignoring all taxes and duties for the product coming in. Imagining that you make a 2x markup on every product, your $5,000 is now $10,000, but that 6-month window, just your rent alone is $12,000. So you're already $2,000 in the red. And again, we've ignored all the setups for the space. We've ignored your tax man, paying taxes, paying yourself, your internet, your fees for your website, boxes, just all the little things that people seem to overlook. It's such a hard video to make. There's so many things that go into starting a business that even when we started it, we overlooked and didn't really think about. Originally, we started the shop with about $18,000 worth of product. And pretty quickly, we realized that we needed to inject more cash to buy more product to be able to sustain us for a longer period of time between ordering windows. I was lucky in the sense that I owned a house and I actually sold my home to be able to finance this project for years before it started to actually gain enough momentum to be profitable. And the reality is that if I didn't have that money to inject into it, we just simply would not have survived. Now, I've made a ton of mistakes, and there's a lot of mistakes that I could have missed and not made. But the reality is that when you're starting a business, especially if you're underfunded on a shoestring budget, the chances of you running out of gas is extremely high. So I often say to people, you need to have a lot more than you think you need. this business isn't the one that I think a lot of people think of when they think of retail. Retail, your brain automatically goes to the H&M model where you're buying stuff really cheap and selling it for really high, where maybe if you put $1,000 in, you might be able to make $10,000 because you have such a large markup. But the reality is this market isn't that. If you do have $10,000 and you want to start a business, I oftentimes suggest people get into something like t-shirts, something where you can design something, you don't have to get a lot of overhead like a retail space, you can maintain your job, you can do it in your spare time, and see if you can make that a bit of a side hustle where you can design something, market it, take it to market, and have sell-through. That way you can get your feet wet with trying out something in this sort of realm, but you don't have to invest all your money, you don't have to invest all your time, and there's just a lot less risk. In our world, we have to pay for things up front, we get them, then we have to try to sell them, and if it doesn't sell, you're kind of fucked. You need to have enough money to be able to pay for everything for a long time, while your company honestly will be hemorrhaging money. Growth takes a lot of money, starting up takes a lot of money, operating takes a lot more money than you expect, and that's where I think there's just a huge disconnect. I don't know if that's the right word, if there's a big disconnect, but there seems to be, I think the way that people work is that we see an opportunity, and if we're really into it and we're excited about it, we'll often go, we'll highlight in our mind the probability of success, while at the same time completely minimizing everything that may cause it not to succeed, or just minimize all the risks. And that's something that is just super detrimental. There's a lot of bills and a lot of things that come along with owning a business that just you don't expect or you just never think of. If you are looking at starting a business and you do only have $10,000, I really suggest that you take a look at how much you think it'll cost you to live working at that business for maybe a year, and how much your rent will cost, and how much all the bills will cost, everything. And imagine that you don't make a single cent and have that amount of money available to you to be able to live, to be able to survive, just in case your business isn't working out instantly. Because it often takes a lot longer to build a business, to build a customer base than you think. I also wanted to mention that I've seen companies started by people who have massive followings, thinking that that massive following is going to translate into a customer base, and within a year, they're out of business, because it doesn't always translate that your fans will then become customers. One thing I tell people a lot is to be wary of pop-ups. If you do events and the vast majority of your sales are to your friends and family, because your friends and family can only get you so far. Let's say you're doing a pop-up for your t-shirt company and 95% of the people buying are people you don't know. That's a good sign. If 95% of the people are your friends, your family, take a step back and reassess and see what you're doing, because you really need to rely on people that are way outside of your friendship ring or your friendship circle to sustain a business and survive. So if you want to open a business, like I say, I suggest starting a lot smaller. Maybe don't jump into what we're doing, but start really small and see if you can build it. Build a customer base, something in your spare time where you're not relying on that 100%, because I'd hate to see people put their entire life savings into something and ultimately fail. But just think you need to have a lot more money than I think you think. But hey, if it's your dream, do it anyway. Who cares what I say? Okay, bye.